Hello, Internet. Evan Benton of Dogg from Air here with a very clickbaity headline. The church should not oppose abortion. Now, if you're expecting a pro-abortion argument from me on this, you better turn away. What I'm basically saying is that churches should not oppose abortion, but rather they should oppose premarital sex, which leads to abortion. So if you're a conservative and you're opposing abortion, you're already on the back foot. You have lost the moral high ground and you have a rhetorical disadvantage. So as long as you're not willing to take on the personal responsibility, because that is what conservatives have over liberals, that you have to control your behavior until you're in a position to support the outcome of that behavior, then you're going to lose this fight. And that's the gist of what this video is going to be about. So that being said, then why would anybody oppose abortion? Or why would a conservative oppose abortion as opposed to premarital sex? Well, I think it's obvious that it's because it is easier. The fact is that very few people get abortions while very many people practice premarital sex. It's practically ubiquitous. So in a sense, you know, people can get on their moral high horse and look down on people who are getting abortions and not addressing their own sins is basically what I believe is happening here. And another reason that, well, one thing it tells us is that it's being used as a force multiplier. Okay, abortion as an issue is being used as a force multiplier. The target of abortion laws, of campaigns for or against abortion, are not people who are seeking to get abortions or who are at risk, but they're targeting the entire population. So you think about a chess game, okay? The most powerful piece on your opponent's side is going to be his queen, right? So are you, as a chess player, going to have as your target your opponent's queen? No, of course not. Your target is going to be to win the entire game. And if you focus on the queen, you're not going to win very many games. And that's what the idea of a force multiplier is. I've talked about, strategy and other things like that in my recent other videos. But this is what we're doing with abortion. We're using a very small group of people and trying to get them to change the morality of our society. So the goal of promoting abortion is to undermine traditional moral authorities by taking the moral high ground through the claim that they are protecting women. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm trying to keep this as laser focused as Dogg can. Why women, for example? Why not men? Why doesn't protecting men work as a rhetorical device? Interesting question, but that's for another day. So I'm going to express the unpopular opinion that opposing abortion is a conservative virtue signal. So from the get-go, the debate has been framed dishonestly. Okay, the scenario that everyone has in their head when they think of abortion is a 13-year-old girl who has been raped, and now she's pregnant. Okay, so they're going to ask you in the debate, should she be forced, this 13-year-old girl, into a life of destitution, or will you allow her to live her dreams? And we've got to just stop a minute and say, wait, what? How did we get to this point? All right. Of course, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous scenario. Pregnant girl, what do? And when you get to that point, I mean, you're obviously talking about, your emotions are already getting fired up. It's hard to think clearly, and we really need to take a step back and just say, what are the societal factors that led to a 13-year-old girl getting raped? Okay, those are valid questions, and we can't just pass them by as if to say that by allowing or disallowing her to kill her baby, we're somehow solving the problem. And so, look, not only is that ridiculous, but as far as I know, every state in the union still allows abortion in these types of cases. So again, it's ridiculous from the other side as well. But we're trapped as a result of this framing. We're trapped in what's called a Hegelian dialectic. Okay, where both both sides are making a argument that doesn't really make sense, and the result is going to be just to force us into a predetermined outcome. Okay, so if I've got my facts right, the liberal argument is going to be that women should have the right to an abortion at any time for any reason. And a conservative is going to argue that abortion should only be available when the woman has gotten pregnant against her will. So will is the driving factor in this set of paired arguments. Now, before I get to what I want to say on the issue of abortion, I got to re-emphasize that this form of argument is a trap. This is a dishonestly framed debate. So if you are not in favor of women having the right to an abortion at any time for any reason, you need to not engage with this style of argument. All right? Just point out to the person, if someone asks you, that is a dishonest question, okay? That is a ridiculous question. Okay, we need to look at the societal factors. Okay? And what about those factors? Great question. Well, those factors would be all of the elements of societal stability which have been deliberately undermined over the past, pick your time period there, okay? So I mentioned that opposing abortion is easier, and here I'm hinting at what is hard, and that is the complete restructure of society. So yes, we need to completely restructure our society, which has been undermined for the past time period. That's what's called taking the red pill, right, in the parlance of our times. So realizing that we've all been lied to and that we need to make radical changes in our own lives. So again, I'm not going to belabor the point, but let's go back to that scenario, okay? We've got a 13-year-old rape victim, and she's now pregnant. So what do? Maybe I'll concede we should let her kill her baby. Maybe something has gone terribly wrong with our society to get us to that point where we're asking this question. So notice the difference between those 2 points of view. That is not a dialectic. That is not a trap. That is the inevitable realization that we are not asking the right questions when we're talking about this type of problem. So now this is the strength of conservatism, okay, which is that conservatives are actually capable of escaping the false dialectic. Liberals, God have mercy, are grist for the mill. But unless you're willing to engage the metaphysical aspects of knowledge and decision making, you are no match for the liberal pseudo-intellectual who promises freedom at any cost. Or at no cost, excuse me, because remember, abortion, we just don't even think about the cost of, because the woman doesn't bear the cost of the abortion. I mean, I'm not even arguing that the child does, but really society does. But that's a digression that I'm trying to avoid in this particular video. So conservatives, realize your strength does not come from free market economic policies, okay? Libertarianism is a false escape from the false dialectic. It comes from history and tradition. And in the West, that tradition is Christianity. So maybe conservatives, if you don't understand what the big deal is about premarital sex, after all, they're both willing participants, right? Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Maybe you should crack open a history book or the Bible, or better yet, ask your pastor. So, okay, what is the big deal with abortion? This is the whole point of my video. This is what I've been leading up the whole time to, and I've never heard anybody say this, so this is why I'm making the video, okay? The problem with abortion is that the children are unwanted. The children themselves are not the problem. We cannot blame children just because they happen to exist. The fact that they are unwanted is the problem. So how do we address that? How do we make people want children? Okay? kill all the babies you want. That's not going to address the problem. So you kill a rape baby, right? Will that make us value the other babies more? You kill a retard. Will that increase the value of human life? And that's the problem. So if abortion is banned, if abortion is legalized, that basic disregard for the individual and the family, which characterizes scientific materialism, will still be there. As is said, there is no political solution. So now the most important question, why are children unwanted? Well, science has a very concise answer for us there. It's because there are too many of them, too many children. Now this idea comes from a man named Thomas Malthus. I hope you've heard of him. He wrote a book in 1798 called An Essay on the Principle of Population. And he was immediately disproven by the fact of so his basic premise was that we are going to have children faster than we are going to be able to support said children. Okay, and he was immediately disproven by the fact that the Industrial Revolution happened and productivity per person went through the roof. But still, we're still enacting policies based on this. We're trying to get people to have fewer children. And so this last part of this video, being Dogg from Air, I don't like to just harangue you. I want to bring in some facts. So we're going to do that. We're going to examine the scientific assumption or theory that there are too many people, and we're going to see whether that's true. So let's see some facts. Alrighty, children. So these first couple of graphs are just going to be from Wikipedia, and we're looking at the fertility rate for every country in the world. So fertility rate means the number of children a woman will have throughout her lifetime. And there is another word to think of there called the replacement rate. The replacement rate is the number of children that a woman needs to have in her lifetime, or the population will decrease. And that number is right around 2.1. So right here in the middle, the bright green color is 2.0 to 2.2. Every country you see on the map that is bright green or a warmer color than that is going to have enough children to survive in the future. Every country that is this dark green and bluer will not be here in the future unless this trend continues. So even Mexico, where I'm at, has a fertility rate that is lower than what is needed to sustain itself. Even Cuba here. Large parts of South America are. Basically, we're looking at Africa and India, and some parts of Southeast Asia and Central Asia are the only parts of the world that are going to be they're going to exist in the future if this trend continues. So right there, we're debunking the assumption that we are having too many people. But let's continue. Here we've got a projected population of the entire world, and we're right here at 2020 right now, and this is projected up to 2050. So you can see how each projection fans out at the very end. And if 10,000 million is the units here, so that means, or anyway, 10 billion is where this line is going to be. Forgive me for my poor math here. But you'll see that based on this fantail, we only reach 10 million in the most optimistic scenarios, okay? So basically, if you look at the most likely line, which is this dark line, the world population is approaching the horizontal, which means zero growth. So most likely, based on, this is the World Health Organization, I got this from Wikipedia, excuse me, it's the United Nations, which is the same thing. Based on Wikipedia and all that, we don't reach 10 billion people, okay? We go horizontal, we stop growing as a race before we reach 10 billion people on planet Earth. And this is the current figures, okay? So take it up with Wikipedia if you don't like that. But I mean, look at the rest of them. Asia, not growing. Africa is the only one that's growing. Europe has gone negative. Latin America is not even growing. North America is not, and so Oceania and Africa are the only two parts of the world where we're experiencing growth right now. So again, Malthus, not true. Your children are important. And then finally, this is going to be the birth rate per year. So we were looking at the population increase. This is how many children are born per year. So again, I'm going to decline the temptation to go off on a tangent about how the current birth rate 2020 dropped in comparison to 2021, and 2022 dropped in comparison to 2021, and 2021 dropped in comparison to 2020. Let's not think about why that would be, why something that might have happened in December of 2020 would have decreased the birth rate going forward. We can see that before that, there was a 1.1% decline. So now we're declining at a 0.05% faster rate than they were before something was introduced. But I digress. We'll move down to the yearly birth rate of the entire population. And you can see that this is 1950, okay? We were having 37.8 children born per woman, and now we are at 17.7. So we're at less than half of the birth rate of 1950, okay? And what happened? We can speculate all we want. Social scientists will tell you that it's women being educated. You might want to look at other health factors that are beyond the scope of this video, such as Sam Milham's book, Dirty Electricity. But as you can see, we're approaching the horizontal in terms of growth. The projection for 2100 is going to be 11.5%, which is less than a third of where we were 70 years ago. So pretty horrifying. And this is showing down here the annual change, which is never less than it's never positive. Okay, we've been declining for this entire time. At some certain years, well, this is basically the baby boom, right? This is the tail end of the baby boom. Well, here's the baby boom, 1952 through 1964. You can see that we declined year on year, every year throughout the baby boom, right? So that's another video I'd like to make, but the baby boom was really more of a baby bust. And there you have it, guys. So the thing I love about science is that when someone makes a claim, you can test it. And what I've just shown you is that our population is not going out of control. So, if you were thinking that you shouldn't have children because of that, well, at the very least, I hope to have dissuaded you of that notion. And then, back to the religious idea of it, which it's easier to oppose abortion than it is to oppose our own sins, our own problems in life. So let's, I don't even consider myself a conservative. I think I say that like in every video where I make any kind of a social commentary. But, let's think about our own choices in life and, really take the hard look at our own choices and use that to power what needs to be done, which is this complete radical change of society, a rebuilding, a real rebuilding, where we're responsible and we're, getting food from our neighbors and, participating in an economy that makes sense. So that's that video, guys. Abortion is a touchy issue, and I'd like to hear what everyone has to say about that, unless you're liberal. But anyway, share the video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to be back with some more hard-hitting commentary soon. This has been Evan Benton of Dogg. Thanks, and good night.